Hey, and welcome to, we're calling the show Talkzilla, right? Welcome to Talkzilla. Basically, we're going to talk a lot about Godzilla. My name is Levin Graham, and I'm here with Harry. Harry, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantabulous. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing not bad. I'm caffeinated up, and hopefully it kicks in at the right time.
Good shit.
We're going to be talking a lot about Godzilla today. Myself, let's talk about our history with Godzilla. My history is that one day I got very high on 4/20, April 20th. A few years ago, and I decided to just watch some Godzilla movies, and then I just continued to watch Godzilla movies throughout the rest of the year until I had seen them all. And Harry, how was your experience?
My experience is I've seen an ungodly amount of kaiju movies. I have seen shit that you people wouldn't believe.
We're allowed to cuss on this program, right?
Yes.
Fuck yes. Okay, great.
Good to know. In the full Monty.
All right, so my knowledge on Godzilla is very broad strokes. His knowledge on Godzilla is a lot more detailed and intricate.
Yeah.
Let's get into the origins of Godzilla, if you might.
Okay, so in terms of my intricate knowledge of Godzilla, also known as autism spectrum disorder, the thing about Godzilla is it started, to paint you a picture, it's the end of World War II. Hitler finally took a hint and killed himself. And the United States bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is not me being tasteless. This is actually like what led to the creation of Godzilla. Essentially what happened was there was a fishing boat off the coast of Japan called the Lucky Dragon number 5, I believe, and they were out fishing near the freshly irradiated waters of Hiroshima. I believe Hiroshima. This is a real tragedy that I'm not super educated on. Bottom line is they came back horrifically poisoned by radiation. They were covered in big bumpy scars called keloid scars. And that shit made big Japanese news. And a pacifistic director named Ishiro Honda went, oh God. And then a screenwriter named Tomoyuki Tanaka went, I have an idea. And then a special effects guy named Eiji Tsuburaya sat there and went, what's the most amount of horrific ways I can treat a person and get away with it in a non-perverse manner? And together they got together and made the film Gojira, which is right here on this beautiful display, graciously provided by your Criterion release. We will be getting to Criterion later. I have a lot to say about them, and not in a good way. And essentially, the theme of Godzilla is that being that he's a nuclear dinosaur that destroys Tokyo, he's meant to both serve as a metaphor for the bombings that the United States did against Japan and Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but the actual texture pattern of his scales was modeled after the keloid scars of the survivors of the Lucky Dragon fishing boat incident. The reason why he was a big dinosaur was because the ship was called the Lucky Dragon, so he's kind of like a dragon, but he's a dinosaur. A lot of cultural influences made their way into it, and the film ended up becoming an artistic monument, and then was released in America completely chopped up and partway butchered to make it palatable for Western audiences. And from that point on, his popularity expanded and his dignity contracted.
Okay, so to get on from there, because a lot of the imagery of that original Godzilla was like obviously like playing off of the imagery of like what happened to them during World War II. That American recut
Yes.
that you mentioned was a lot of the American audience's like first like visual exposure to like what happened to Japan in a way that like changed the perspective of like, oh, did America do something bad here? Like there's a lot of destruction here that happened here. Like this is the first time they're actually like seeing it. Because when you just hear the news, you go, oh yeah, like well we bombed Japan and then we won the war, right? That was a lot of their perspective, right? And then seeing like that American cut of Godzilla, like did help like reframe a lot of the perspective of like, oh, like what actually happened in Japan.
Yeah.
But that American cut is also like really interesting. Can you tell us about that American cut?
So the American cut, the thing is, I agree it did help educate the West on what happened in Hiroshima, but it also made it much more palatable and whitewashed. There's scenes in the originals that, like, it doesn't pull its punches. Yeah, it's a big fucking radioactive dinosaur, but the suit in that movie still looks good. It's hauntingly beautiful. And there's scenes of, like, little girls crying for their dead mothers that were straight up cut from the American version. But the main thing the American version did is they took the actor Raymond Burr, who was, if anyone's terrified about spoilers for Rear Window, then I don't have any time machines for you. But Rear Window, the villain in that, Raymond Burr, he was cast to play a character in the American cut where he would go up to a bunch of Japanese body doubles that they look nothing like the original actors, but they literally just got a bunch of random Asian actors, put them in costumes, said, yeah, the audience will buy it, and they'd have him explain what would already be shown. So, for example, it would be like, there is a scene of Godzilla destroying an island countryside. It's his big introduction, magnificent scene. And in the original, he just destroys a village, and in the American version, he destroys that village, and then we cut to the actor Raymond Burr going, Godzilla just destroyed this village. I am a journalist. Like, that is his whole character. The movie, the American version, opens with him buried under rubble going, my name is Steve Martin. A big dinosaur attacked me. This is scary. I'm in Japan. White people, please sympathize with me. And then the movie starts. This was a tradition that would unfortunately carry through in the Godzilla franchise from the beginning of the franchise's conception until 1985 when Roger Corman, also known as Cinematic Jesus, took the film and butchered it again. But those are the main differences that actually mean much of anything beyond some sound mixing differences.
Yeah, and that recut, I mean, I don't know how much of the history of like recutting like Japanese films into like American cuts there was pre-original Godzilla. Yeah. But like my mindset goes to like, well, I grew up on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right? And I think about like the idea of taking a Japanese show or Japanese content and basically filming American actors and reforming the story into something else, right? Like I think about like the progression of that over the course of decades to lead to like one of my favorite childhood shows ever. So it's like, it's really funny. Like I think about like all like the bad quality that came from like those cuts, but like a lot of really cool stuff, like stuff that wouldn't fly today. Like imagine a conversation nowadays where it's like, oh, they took the Japanese version and they recut it. Like it would never fly today. No. Right? But people love Power Rangers because they didn't know what Super Sentai was.
Exactly.
Right? Let's dig in a bit further. So after that original, unless you want to talk more about the original film.
I don't have much to say about it because it's such a monumental film. It speaks for itself, and every human, pretty much every friend you know that's cracked at Smash Brothers has already made their own artistic take of Gojira. I think we can move on.
Yeah. So basically after that we had like
Godzilla Raids Again.
Godzilla Raids Again. So their quick turnaround cash-in sequel,
so
which
bad.
Always happens. Like this is like going from like King Kong to like Son of Kong in the same year.
Son of Kong was decent though. Raids Again is ass. Sorry to cut you off.
I think they're both bad. But like basically like them being like, oh yeah, so like Godzilla's back. But it's another Godzilla, right? Because the first one dies.
It's another one. Sorry, continue.
And it's basically, so like they're going through this footage of like old, like the original Godzilla attacks, and it's just shots from the first movie, like as if like they had like journalists like getting like coming in with like film cameras and like, but it's literally just shots from the first movie that they're just like showing and like looking through. It's a bad movie. We can skip past that.
I mean, I can mention a few things because it is pretty important to how Godzilla changed as a franchise. And what happened is in that movie, Godzilla fights another monster. This was the first time it ever happened with a kaiju called Anguirus.
Anguirus, yes.
Anguirus is my favorite kaiju. I've been a ride or die for that loser since I first discovered him. He never wins a single fight. He sucks ass at everything he does.
Yep.
I love him. He's a big ankylosaurus. And when you're watching the movie Raids Again, just to paint a picture for the audience who hasn't seen the film, Godzilla is back, and instead of this beautifully crafted suit, like a visual that can never be replicated, instead Godzilla just kind of... Is it bad to say that somehow they made a rubber suit look like it was having a heroin problem? Like, I'm not kidding. All the padding is removed. It looks like you took Godzilla, skinned him out back, and then draped him over an NBA player with no padding. He's like this. He's like... He reminds me of a guy I met on the TTC who he was drinking a green beer. It was bright neon green. He was spilling it, and he was screaming. He was like Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet. Actually, screamed just like him. But anyways, that started the precedent of Godzilla being less allegorical and more about two sweaty Japanese stuntmen who are horrifically underpaid in rubber suits, rocking and socking each other on film. And as terrible as the movie is, the fight's great.
The fight's real good, yeah.
Because they accidentally sped it up instead of slowed it down in post. So they actually look like two animals. It's kind of like when my dogs go in the backyard and they just start mauling each other for fun. It had that energy. And then, because we're talking about American releases, when they released it in America, you'd think Godzilla's pretty lucrative. So when they re-released it, it was released as Gigantus the Fire Monster.
Gigantus the Fire Monster, yes.
In which they made it that Godzilla was cousins to Anguirus. And just to paint a picture to the audience at home, Godzilla is Godzilla, and Anguirus is an Ankylosaurus. Where is the biological connection? Where does it go? It makes no sense.
They're both dinosaur-like.
But yeah, they're both dinosaurs, but you can't do that, man. It's a very unprofessionally made movie to the point where, I'm not even kidding, in the first scene, the Ankylosaur, his shell splits open and flops everywhere in the first fight scene because that's what they wanted the design to be. And then they realized, yo, this is ass, and then they glued it shut. But if you make a design choice that late into the film, reshoot the fight scene or cut those parts, you lazy, oh my God. But there's not much more to say about it than that. And right after this, we got to talk about Bride of Godzilla, because this came after. Can we?
All right. I know nothing about Bride of Godzilla. Please school me. Put me on this.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone on this podcast for giving me the opportunity to truth nuke people about this. Before we start, everything you are about to hear exit my mouth is not comedic effect or exaggeration. This is real. I am being, as they say in the ancient tongue, dead ass. So after Godzilla Raids Again came out, a screenwriter, whose name escapes me at the moment, pitched a script to Toho, the company that makes Godzilla. To the directors like Ishiro Honda, Eiji Tsuburaya, and Godzilla's creator, Tomoyuki Tanaka. They read this. And the script... So the script is about the Japanese military does some fucking digging into the earth, and they find that the earth is hollow, which that makes a huge comeback later.
Yep.
And the hollow earth is full of a community of Godzillas and Anguiruses who just kind of hang out and play poker or something. Literally, it's a bunch of tunnels with them. And this is what I have to preface. I am being serious. The main plot is about an evil scientist whose daughter tragically passes away. And you're thinking, okay, this is interesting.
That also comes back later on.
Yeah, that does come back later, but in a good way. No, in this script, I am serious. He rebuilds his daughter as a kaiju-sized robot of her, and she's naked. Completely naked. This is his daughter, by the way. And the movie ends with the naked robot, the giant naked robot, being sent into the hollow earth, and the main Godzilla, because the Godzilla's there, falls in love with the robot, takes her back to the cave, and then the bomb in her uterus, her robo-uterus, blows up, and then the hollow earth explodes, killing all the Godzillas and Anguiruses.
Oh, is that where Kojima got that from?
Kojima got that? Of course he did. Of course.
Metal Gear Solid 5. Sorry, we don't have to spoil that. Sorry, go on.
No. It's not. It's Hideo Kojima. What'd you expect, man? That man has movies on Blu-ray that I wouldn't even have on DVD. He has Barbarella on Blu-ray. Do you know how much of a gooner you have to be to own Barbarella on Blu-ray? That movie has a scene where the main character is strapped up to a piano. Like I said, not trying to be funny. It is a piano that is meant to make you and she ends up the piano explodes. He has that on Blu-ray. And you know what the best part about that movie is? That was released just a few months before 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Nice.
But yeah, that script did not get made, and basically, to cut out some middlemen, The guy who animated King Kong, Willis O'Brien, who, you know who King Kong is. I don't need to explain it. It's King Kong. I feel like that's something that we can like agree with. He's a big monkey.
Yep.
And the guy who did the stop motion for King Kong, Willis O'Brien, he lived a terrible life. He did all this stop motion. His wife, and I say this without comedy, his wife tragically murdered his 2 children and herself, and then he was forced to animate for an entire movie within 9 months. He made King Kong, lost his wife and kids, and then immediately got called into work after, and he did. And he wrote a script called King Kong versus the Ginkgo, which was going to be Kong versus Frankenstein. The script sucked ass, it traded a bunch of hands, and eventually became King Kong versus Godzilla. I will give you the bridge to describe this one, because this was a cultural milestone, I feel.
But before we get to King Kong, as in like talking about King Kong versus Godzilla?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get there,
Okay.
Let's go over. So like in the meantime, as like, did Godzilla take basically like a downturn after Raids Again?
He took a major hiatus. He went away for like a decade, and King Kong had been on a hiatus because to paint a picture here, we
Since
are
the
currently.
30s.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, sorry.
No, I'm really sorry. So basically, Kong came out in the 30s, Godzilla came out in the 50s, and then they both went completely radio silent. Son of Kong was released literally 9 months after the first, so it's the same year.
At the very end of the same year, yeah.
Yeah, so no one was talking about Kong. Everyone was plagiarizing him. But Kong is what got the ball rolling for giant monster movies. Even Eiji Tsuburaya, the special effects guy, who calling him a special effects guy is a huge disservice to what he's done for special effects and the art of monster and just cinema in general. Tsuburaya was a huge fan of Kong.
Legendary artist. Like his work is super influential. As we'll talk about this. So go on.
Oh, 100%. But essentially, after a lot of screenwriting issues, RKO, the company that owned King Kong, said, okay, this King Kong versus Frankenstein script, we'll give it to you, Toho. And so Toho tried to make a movie where Frankenstein's monster squared up against King Kong, which, how does that work? One's like a guy and the other's a big hairy ape. Anyways, it changed hands a few times, and they eventually landed onto King Kong versus Godzilla. One of the worst movies I have ever seen, and one of the best movies I have ever seen.
Yes, but in that time between Raids Again and King Kong versus Godzilla,
yes,
we had Toho trying again and again at trying to create a new monster to like fill that Godzilla role. Yep. Right, like we had Rodan, we had Varan. Varan is like very similar. Like in some ways, like kind of just feels like they're just doing Godzilla again.
Varan's actually a good segue because that's a little known. It's a little known kaiju film Toho did. It was supposed to be a TV movie, but it got forced to be theatrical last minute. And the only reason I'm bringing that movie up is because the main suit actor for Godzilla is a man named Haruo Nakajima. God rest his soul. He passed away in 2019, I believe. It was 2019, yes. And he was the greatest stuntman to ever live. And I will stand by that. Because he wasn't just a stuntman, he was an actor. And for that movie, Varan, what happened was the movie ends with the titular kaiju eating a bomb and being blown up from the inside. So they just stuck a bunch of actual explosive charges to the suit's chest and literally just blew up the actor. They just blew Haruo up, and his stomach got horrifically burned. Not stomach of the organ, but like his belly was fucking burnt. And he didn't even go to the hospital. He just said, yeah, I got really burnt for that one. And then the director was like, go to the hospital! So he did. Yeah, no, Haruo Nakajima, that man has suffered so much for his art, and yet he will always be the best Godzilla, because he played every creature differently. Rodan, who you're describing, that was Toho's first color kaiju film, which was about 2 pterodactyls that eat giant bugs. That's good movie, besides the point. Quentin Tarantino has something to say about it, and I hate Tarantino more than I hate most people on Earth, so I don't concern myself with his opinion. But in that one, because he's a flying pterodactyl, there was a scene where they had to fly him over a bridge. The piano wire holding him up snapped. And so I just want to paint another picture. I say that word a lot, but just think about this. Imagine being in a big rubber pterodactyl suit. You can't see, you can't breathe, and you're being hung in the air by piano wires. And the next thing you know, you are drowning because it's a bridge over real water. And the crew actually had to jump into the fake river and fish the poor bastard out. And he lived. He lived a long life into his 90s. And some of them were good films. Most of them were not. But to add on to what you were saying, they were trying to get that Godzilla magic back, and they never did.
Yeah. So now talking about like Rodan is a good segue to right before King Kong vs. Godzilla was a special movie called Mothra.
Mothra was before that? Yes,
Mothra
it was.
61, yeah.
Oh, thank you, because that's my favorite. Continue.
It's also my favorite kaiju. So like a lot of like
kaiju film, I mean.
the individual film, yeah.
Yeah.
So like a lot of what they did with Rodan felt like a prototype, like a practice run for like what Mothra ended up being. Like just like practicing like the strings puppeting the wings and. Do you have any, like how much? You know, you love Mothra.
No, but if you love, I'm not here to take away your airtime, man.
Oh no, I love Mothra more as like conceptually the overall kaiju more than that original film.
Okay, fair. That's fair. So essentially, how about you describe Mothra the character, and I'll describe the intricacies of the movie.
All right. So basically, Mothra is giant moth, right? She starts off now in the original film. They hadn't decided what the gender was, right? Because like
no. In the original, she's a woman.
It is?
Yeah, I have it on DVD. They say she from the beginning. Like that was kind of the whole gimmick. Where even in the West, they said like ravaging a thing for her love. Like it was a gimmick. Like holy shit, monsters can be women too. And of course, people went in droves because God forbid a woman has hobbies and destroys an entire fucking city.
All right, okay, because like the last time I had seen it, like the subtitles I had saw like it said referred to he, but like yeah, basically
probably a bastardization.
Mothra, basically giant moth, and she starts off. She's basically like Kenny from South Park, where she dies in almost every appearance that she's in.
Yeah.
And only to be brought back. And her whole thing is that like she starts off in a larva state, massive, obviously.
Big worm.
Goes into a
cocoon.
A cocoon. Sorry, why am I forgetting?
No, it's okay. You're good. It's right. A cocoon.
Right, and then eventually becomes the giant moth Mothra. She has an entire island of people who worship her and serve her. Put it this way: if you know King Kong, it's basically like King Kong if King Kong was a giant moth rather than a monkey.
But she's benevolent and not a persecuted ape.
Yes. And basically because she always dies, she has this cycle where she's always basically reincarnating herself. And so like the adult version of her will die, but she will always leave behind an egg so that the egg can hatch to be her reincarnated self.
Yeah, every movie with Mothra in it, it ends the same way. She dies, the egg hatches, 2 larvas come out, a male and a girl. The boy dies, a male and a boy and a girl. Why did I say male? Anyways, the boy dies, the woman goes into the water, and the larva designs, they're these puppets, they're incredible. But the way that they're done is that they're literally put on train tracks, but they get it to squiggle like this. But in the later movies, like the movies that were coming out when I was literally born, they gave up and they just fully put it on a track, and you can see the train tracks like in Tokyo SOS. Like they didn't even bother removing it. But anyway, she goes back to Infant Island and becomes a big moth again. And in the movie Mothra, basically, in all versions of the character, she is spoken for by 2 diminutive humans, like 2 women the size of Barbie dolls, called the Shobijin. And they speak in sync, and they speak for Mothra. Mm-hmm. And basically what happens is a greedy Japanese businessman with a Hitler mustache kidnaps them after going on a voyage to Infant Island, and then the movie's about them being, exhibited against their will, and then Mothra comes to Japan, destroys it. I'm selling it short for its intricacies, but the music is beautifully swelling, and this would also be a good time to bring up the main composer for Godzilla, Akira Ifukube,
yes.
One of the greatest composers for film, does not get enough respect, because he always gave his best effort to even the lesser of films. It reminds me of how one of the best albums I have ever heard is called Libidine, and it's the soundtrack to this film no one talks about. It is a hauntingly beautiful soundtrack, and I'm like, I need to know what this movie is. I go out searching for it, I find it. It's a not watching that. Like, what are you kidding? Like, that is some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard, and you write it for. What is wrong with you? Akira didn't do this. This is just an unrelated tangent. But the bottom line is,
go off.
Mothra was a brilliant movie. Unfortunately, it does have to be addressed that it is kind of racially insensitive. But yeah, the way I'm not even going to get into it. It's pretty messed up and not something I condone. But it is a good movie, despite that unfortunate setback with the Infant Islanders and how they're depicted.
Every timeline refers to them as different names, and so I always just call them the fairies.
Yes, I forgot they changed their names. I just call them Shobijin because like that's what I knew them as a kid.
Was it the same actor? So was it the same actors as in Mothra versus Godzilla?
Yes, because they were played by Japanese pop stars. They were called the Peanuts.
Yes, they were the Peanuts. Yes, so like they were like genuine celebrities. I don't know how big they were, but they were.
They were pretty big. Yeah,
they were well known. Yeah, and like gave them an opportunity to like actually like showcase their ability to like to sing and perform.
Yeah, but they're wonderful singers.
Yeah, and like the way that they talk in sync, so that like it basically sounds like one singular voice, but with reverb, is like a really cool effect. But they do it naturally because they're just who they are.
Yeah, it's surreal because like it's such an easy effect to do now. When I was at Godzilla Fest in 2015 when I was a kid, I was a weird looking kid. I'm getting flashbacks of being at the event and looking in mirrors like, geez, ew. Sorry, just thinking about myself physically makes me ill. But anyways, I was there and I met the director of this Godzilla fan film, which might be the most unintentionally funny movie I've ever owned in my DVD collection. Great guy though. And we were sitting around talking about how he made his Godzilla fan film, and with him, he just got one actress for and put her on a green screen and duplicated her. But back then, Ishiro Honda just went, no, I found two pop stars that look similar, sing brilliantly, and can speak in sync. And it really was a turning point of Toho making artistically rich kaiju movies again, and not slop where they end up, buttering up the belly of Haruo Nakajima and then blowing him up like a cartoon.
All right, now let's double back now a bit. So King Kong versus Godzilla. Give me your thoughts on that.
Never before has a film left me speechless. You're not getting dead air out of my opinion of that, but you got that 1 second of like, I can't bring myself to believe that it's real. And I have to bring this up now because normally I talk about the Japanese version like a respectable person, but there is a specific collection for the original old Godzilla movies, branching from 55 to 76, I believe. Yeah, 76. And they are restored wonderfully. The restoration of the film, beautiful. But the way they packaged it is by sticking adhesive to cardboard, adhesive that ruins the discs. So let me tell you something. If you want to watch good old Godzilla movies, buy the Criterion package, but the second you get it, yank the disc out of that thing because the adhesive they use is so strong, it has ruined half of my collection of Godzilla movies. And this is an officially sanctioned release. It's actually so disgusting. I was supposed to bring it here as a prop, but I think so little of that collection and how awful the packaging is. Like, it ruined movies that I loved. I literally stuffed it between my dad's old records, between his Bill Cosby and Woody Allen record, respectively. Yes, he has those, and yes, I'm still figuring out if it's better to burn or resale. But yeah, anyways, I saw the American version, and it didn't change much. All it did is I saw it with my buddy Scott, and my buddy and also the buddy of the genius who invited me here. And basically what it was is that the movie opens with a crew of Americans sitting in a boat going, "Oh God, we're in a boat. Something's coming above the water. Release the distress signal." So yeah, it's a bunch of guys lost at sea next to a glacier. They release the help signal for the boat. The water turns bright yellow. And that's when me and Scott look at each other and we start laughing because it just looks like a giant legion of piss. And then Godzilla breaks out of the thing and he looks like shit, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're so back. We are so back. And then to paint some, you don't need to know much about the story. All you need to know is a bunch of guys go to an island, they bring King Kong back to Japan, and then they get him to fight Godzilla. Literally, you don't need to know anything more about it. It knows it's stupid.
It barely even has a story in a way.
The only story part I liked was when the main character goes to an island of like uncontacted natives, and the first thing he does to get their trust is to give the children Newports. Probably not Newport. No, literally, like there's this,
actual new like.
Well, there's cigarette. Like yeah, you don't remember the scene in the movie where it's when they go to the island and it's the Polynesian one and there's it's the tribe worship, which. Yeah, and even though I'm saying Polynesian, they were not played by Polynesian actors. It was, unfortunately, anytime I'm talking about island natives in a movie and my description sounds insensitive, it's not my insensitivity, it's that the movies were low-key a little racist.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not here to defend that part of it. It's an awful part. But essentially, they go to this lost island of, weird rituals, and the chief is understandably like, get out of here. And then they give the kids cigarettes. Like an actual little Japanese boy, he like picks it up and goes, and he's like, good. And then the chief is like, oh, good. They bring cigarettes, and then they lead him to the village.
Which is so wild because like in Japanese media, if someone is smoking a cigarette like on TV, they usually have to censor it.
Back then it was different.
Back then it was just
no old Godzilla movies. People's lungs are probably blacker than mine. It's foul, and. Essentially what happens is they make it to the island, King Kong fights a giant octopus, which no one talks about, but I have a lot to talk about that scene.
All right,
so
go off.
King Kong fights a giant octopus. Simple, right? We're just establishing Kong. You hear this loud, mighty roar that I can replicate, but it would blow out the mic, so I'll save you.
Yeah, let's not do that.
yeah, I'm not a monster. But anyways, he shows up, and when you see Kong, oh my God, you're like taken aback. Because Kong was a stop-motion monster, which for those uninitiated is you take a small model, photograph it in increments, so like this, and then it creates the movement. Beautiful art form. But you can't have stop-motion fight a man in a suit. So they made a King Kong gorilla suit.
Yes.
I didn't think it was that possible to make a gorilla suit that bad. Like I genuinely didn't think it was within the capabilities of humanity as a species to fuck up that badly. Because what he is it's a guy in a big brown, it kind of looks like a roadkill. It looks like something got hit by a car and died. His face is smushed in.
Bad.
He has two shaved pecs with these nipples sticking out, and they gave him arm extensions to make him look more like a gorilla, but because of the way the arm extensions are built, so just to give you a perspective on camera, and for our audio listeners, you're fucked. Here's my arm, right? Right here is where the actor would be holding the gorilla arm like this. So when his arm is moving, his fake arm is doing this. So this is how he beats his chest.
Yep.
It's so bad.
Like he has no feeling in his hands.
No, it is insane. And what happens is Kong fights an octopus, a real octopus, which even though Eiji Tsuburaya is a legend, there's something an anecdote that as a kid I always brushed off, but I think it has to be said. Tsuburaya was a brilliant man, but he was not a good human being. And because what he did is he brought 3 octopuses, live ones, on set. I'm not sure of the species. Based on size, they look like giant Pacific, but they're not wrinkly enough because like giant Pacific octopuses, they're like real wrinkly, like they look like a nut sack floating in the water. And so what happened is it crawls onto land and destroys the miniature village. And the way they got the octopus to move, according to Tsuburaya, is we couldn't get the octopus to move on land because it's a fucking octopus on a movie set. And on land, so what they did is they literally would just burn it with cigarettes and use it really was a horrible, I make jest about a lot of things, and I am this has been a clown show from the beginning, and it will be after this discrepancy, but there were 3 octopuses, all horrifically abused on set, and at the end, Tsuburaya ate one of them. He ate it. He ate his own special effect.
And what's also like really unfortunate
You
is like,
can't do that. You can't
this
eat
is-
your own special effect. That tastes like cigarette ash. That's obscene.
This is far from the only time. It's really a really sad thing. Is that this is far from the only time there are, let's say, examples of animal cruelty in this genre.
Oh, don't get me started.
There was a lot of, let's say, cowboy Wild West filmmaking that was going on as they were like figuring a lot of this stuff out, and before certain laws came into place.
Those laws knew nothing, by the way.
Yeah.
This whole podcast could have been about treatments of animals in the film industry, and you'd have more footage. Kong drinks this red berry juice that the natives have made for him that gets him drunk, and then he falls over. Not exactly, like he just gets really drunk and he goes, "Bah," and then he falls over. And then some stuff happens no one cares about. And then Godzilla attacks the city. The suit, I said he looks bad, but I love it. They've given him a more lizard-like face. And he just looks good in Technicolor. Then Kong and Godzilla fight. It is probably the most amusing fight I have ever seen in a movie because it's not choreographed like wrestling, like because the later movies, they choreograph their fights like wrestling. In fact, they would hire professional wrestlers for some of the stuntman roles, like Marchand the Dwarf, who played Godzilla's Chud son Manila. However, with that being said, the choreography of Godzilla versus Kong, or King Kong versus Godzilla, is not... It's not wrestling choreography. It's bum fights choreography. It literally looks like two homeless men fighting over the last thing of whatever I can't say on TV, because it's like you have this guy with really long arms slapping Nakajima, and there is a scene where Nakajima trips and roll because the fight's on a mountain, right? It's on a mountain built like this. Like this is the slope. And when Godzilla falls, he tumbles in a ball. His tail goes through his legs, and he tumbles into the sea. And the way that Godzilla, the thing is, the funniest part is how they initiate the fight, because they're thinking, oh, like the Japanese government's like, oh, how do we get Kong to fight Godzilla? They strap him. They strap him to a bunch of helium balloons. And they float him to the island. And literally, so like in the context of the movie, there are these giant like helium balloons, and there's like a whole scene. Very impressive effects for what it is. But then when they're actually floating the stuntman and it's miniatures, they're just fucking yellow balloons that you could get from a CVS. It is literally a guy in the worst ape suit ever committed to the art of cinema being held up by rubber yellow balloons, and then they pop him and then send him flying, and he goes rolling. Most of the fight is just the guys in the suits falling over each other, rolling over, and throwing rocks at each other. But then King Kong gets struck by lightning, which awakens his power. You may be wondering, what? Huh? Remember how I said the movie was supposed to be Godzilla versus Frankenstein, and how So Frankenstein's monster, as you probably know, is powered by electricity. They decided not to remove that from the script. I think they just deadass forgot. So Kong gets shot by lightning. He electrocutes Godzilla's tail. Godzilla is either weak or powered by electricity, depending on the movie. That sounds like a joke, like literally. In half the movies, it's his power up. In half of them, it's his weakness. I'm just saying, Japanese Coke and the writer's room must have been something special. Anyways, they fall into the sea. Kong comes up. Him and Godzilla roar. In the American version, they roar. The end. The movie sucks.
Yep.
And the one merit I can say is the American version, every 5 seconds, it'll cut to these. They changed the music, right? So I'm getting a little stumbly in my words, but the music for King Kong versus Godzilla is astonishing. It took a bit of Godzilla's cues and mixed it in with the new gravitas that Mothra allowed, and the music is just incredible. It's not like something you sit back and lounge to, but it really adds weight to this scene of this man in, like, I don't know how to describe, but like the King Kong suit. You know, you can just smell something through a screen. I can just tell it smells like urine and blood and like matted hair. It's bad. And basically it cuts to two Americans who are going like, oh, something happened. and it was me and my buddy Scott. We would mute the TV during those scenes and pretend that they were like gay lovers across the world, and it was really sad. Like we made it like, I love you, damn it, and Scott would be like, please see me at home. But the thing is about the music that gets me is that because the American recut was done by Universal Studios, they removed some of the Japanese music, which was so well done. Like, I know I sound like music Japan, but like, it was good music, man. But then I start listening to the fight, like the scene where the guys are tumbling. I turned to my buddy Scott and I said, Scott, that's the fucking Creature from the Black Lagoon theme. And then it hit me. Half of the music in that movie, in the American one, is literally the theme of the Creature from the Black Lagoon and the Wolfman. I love those movies, like the Black Lagoon. Like, that movie means a lot to me for horrifically traumatic reasons that I'm not getting into. But like, what is it doing here? Stay in your lane, asshole. I love Black Lagoon. I love Godzilla. But if the music was bad, I'd forgive it. But this is like the Silent Hill remake levels of replacement. It's like there's just some thresholds you don't cross. And after that, Toho went, wow, we made a lot of money. It was ass, but it made so much money, it launched these characters even bigger into the cultural stratosphere.
Yep.
I used to talk to my father, who he grew up in the 70s, he was born in the 70s after 10 years after the film came out, and he said the film was so hard to come by because of Japanese distribution, it was just a schoolyard rumor that the movie exists. And then when I finally showed it to my dad, putting an end to his, 40, 50 year long absence of seeing the film, he just said, wow, Harry, that sucks, and then he left. But after that,
fair.
The talent finally got to their heads, and I'll let you take over for this one. They made the cultural milestone, the classic Mothra versus Godzilla.
Okay. Mothra versus Godzilla, which I did rewatch recently as well.
Me too.
One of easily, probably somewhere around number 6 or 7th of my overall favorite Godzilla films. Mothra versus Godzilla, what a dramatic improvement over King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh my God, yes.
And this was also at a time where Toho still kind of cared about continuity. Kind of.
They did. They actually did at that point.
Because the beginning of Mothra versus Godzilla plays off of the end of King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Because they do the whole flood, where that basically washes Godzilla back onto shore, and then it clears out, and then Godzilla comes back out.
Right. That's why he's underground. I never clocked that, because when I saw that in the theater, I went to go see it with my mother, and there's this really drunk guy with 3 teeth, and he was going, hey, I seen this movie. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I love this movie. He's like, oh, which one do you think's going to win? I haven't seen this in 60 years. And I said, oh, I don't want to spoil for you, but I know who. And he's like, oh, my bet's on Godzilla. And after that, and by the way, I was not a child. I went with my mom because she actually kind of likes monster movies. And I was 18 at the time, and once we went out, my mom was like, don't talk to strange guys like that, because she thought he was trying to proposition to fuck me somehow, even though he was just a drunk guy talking about Godzilla. I'm like, Mom, where in that did you read him trying to clap my cheeks? But that's neither here nor there. The movie has this incredible sense of scale.
Yes.
The human characters are actually likable, which is a rare feat for these kind of films.
Yes.
And they're these journalists who are trying to stop another greedy Hitler-mustachioed Japanese businessman from capitalizing on Mothra.
Which is a very common thing in these movies.
It's a very used trope.
The freedom of the press, which I like to refer to it as. These movies do a lot of or often go back to let's have characters that are based around journalism, the media, or whatever, and show their perspective on we have to this is our job to capture this in this way, and also usually in the face of being against capitalism.
I like that because it doesn't focus on the military. Because the other thing is the original Godzilla movies really had a lot of heavy anti-capitalist themes. The problem is once they started making money, it started becoming more and more about the Japanese government saving the day. And it's Unit 3217 or whatever it was called. It's like, you can't tell me the Japanese government is heroic when that happened, man.
All right, Mothra versus Godzilla. When Godzilla awakens, and they do the Mothra bit first, right? Where like the egg is in the water.
Yeah, and it washes up on the shore.
Yeah, and it has this like otherworldliness representation to it.
Yeah.
And like basically capitalism, people fight over the, and it does become very like King Kong-ish in that like.
If it was good.
Yeah, the idea of like you can't just take nature and make it like entertainment and capitalism.
Yeah.
So that's where like they get the Mothra egg when Godzilla wakes up, and while Godzilla is pissed off.
Yeah, well, because if I woke up buried alive after getting slimed out by the ugliest ape known to man,
Yeah.
I'd be mad too,
Yeah,
bruh.
so he just got his ass, like the last time he was awake, he just got his ass kicked by King Kong, right? So now he's
an
awake.
alcoholic King Kong,
Yes.
that canonically alcoholic version.
Yes, and
I
he
would
is
lose my mind if that.
super pissed off, and he is just raging like the entire time, right? So, like to the point where like this might be like the clumsiest Godzilla has ever been, because he
Yes.
is actively just stepping on rakes, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he wakes up and he's like trying to knock over a building. His tail gets stuck in a tower, and he yanks his tail out of the tower, which causes the tower to fall on top of him. Then he gets even madder and beats up the tower that's already fallen. And then he starts like walking. He slips and falls into a building, gets mad at the building, and keeps beating up the building because he just keeps making mistakes.
I
Like,
know.
Oh gosh, like just constant stepping on rakes. Also like but then like the fight, when it happens, it is the adult Mothra, right?
Yes.
So Mothra is already fully grown, but she's dying.
Yeah.
Right? She's coming to the end of her life. And so there is obviously the egg that's in the water, and they need Mothra's help to defeat Godzilla.
Yeah.
And this comes out in a really interesting way in a movie that I will talk about. Well, I have to talk about Astro Monster at some point.
Fucking course you have to do. Astro Monster's a good movie. Yeah. Wait, how does that? Wouldn't that play out in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster? Because Astro Monster was after that.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
Ghidorah, that one we're gonna have a field day with. But I'm
Yes.
letting you continue. I'm so sorry.
No worries. And we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to like start skipping past a lot of these movies. Or past a certain point.
Of course. Sorry about the mic.
No worries.
No, I just accidentally hit
Oh,
the
you
mic.
hit the mic. Okay.
Yeah, my big voluptuous man titties keep slapping it.
All right. You know what? Do I bother just spoiling this movie or?
It's from 1964, man. Like if a movie is older than the Civil Rights Act being passed, I think it's okay to spoil.
All right. So basically, like Godzilla beats Mothra because like Mothra is an old woman. She's dying, right? So basically, Godzilla gets a victory over an old woman, and Godzilla is like super like yeah, I kicked ass, right? Yeah, and now I'm gonna destroy that, and then so now. They got to get the egg hatched, so they go to the island. They're like, "Can we?" Or no. Okay, I can't remember the order of this, but
No. The island was.
The island was
no,
before
the
it.
egg just hatches when. No,
Yes.
she goes onto the egg and then incubates it.
Yes,
and
she
she
covers
gives her
the
life
egg.
force
Yes.
into the egg. Yes.
Yes. So now when the egg hatches, now the surprise is it's not one Mothra larva, it's two. Right?
I kind of spoiled that earlier.
Yeah, and so now it's adult Godzilla versus two babies, and spoilers: the two babies win because they just go ham on just spraying their I don't know what the spray is called. Yeah,
They spit webs on him like Spider-Man.
Yes, they're basically spraying silk on him, and Godzilla is just like, oh no, and he's just covering him with silk. It's oh no, and then they just roll. He's covered in the silk, completely covered, and they just kind of roll him back into the sea.
No, he falls into the sea.
He falls back in.
Yeah, he literally falls headfirst into the ocean.
Yeah, and then the two Mothras like swim back to the island.
Which, yes. Wonderful summary. Is it fine if I add in some of my favorite little details about that film?
Go ahead.
So one of my favorite things, when you were talking about how Godzilla's an angry kind of a putz, a lot of that I attribute to how good Haruo Nakajima is as an actor, because when he played Godzilla before, like at least with Gojira, he played it like a beast. Like he went to the zoo and would study bears, lions, tigers, and other animals that unfortunately are really funny now. And he would study them to get that movement. But by Mothra versus Godzilla, when his personality switches to more of like a drunken putz or like my father building IKEA, my favorite scene is there is a scene in Mothra versus Godzilla right after what he was talking about with his tail getting stuck. He steps over his own foot, falls into a building, and then starts punching the building because he fell into it.
Yep.
And also, there's a scene where the military is attacking Godzilla, and the suit's head accidentally got lit on fire.
Yes.
And I'm not kidding. There is a shot in the movie where Haruo Nakajima, because for perspective, the Godzilla head is here. When you're wearing a kaiju suit, your head's in the neck. And you can actually see the breathing holes. That's one of the unfortunate things about Criterion is on the more low effort movies with high restoration, you can just see him sticking his nose through the neck. It's really funny. And he had no idea that he was literally on a rubber suit that is on fire.
Also, not the only time a Godzilla suit gets lit on fire, but go on.
Yeah, no, but like, and it makes for, because even though in this scene they accidentally lit their best actor on fucking fire, they just kept filming it, and it ended up being one of the best shots in the entire movie.
Yep.
It has like an early veneer. It almost looks like the "Wish You Were Here" album cover, like the way that he's like burnt. And in terms of like other somewhat interesting facts. This isn't really much of a factoid, I just like this, but when Godzilla's fighting Mothra, one thing you didn't mention yet, and I'm not saying this is a knock, I'm just saying you didn't mention it, is that before Godzilla kills Mothra, she jumps his ass. My favorite scene is she bites him by the tail and starts dragging him around like a cat, and he's like crawling into the sand, and he's screaming, and then she starts beating her wings, and the wind is like blowing him back like brap shots. It's insane. She's like blowing him into the dirt. It is hysterical. And then I don't know, there is something to be said about Mothra versus Godzilla because it's less of a traditional kaiju film and feels more like a sequel to Mothra where Godzilla's the comic relief.
Yeah.
But it works. It really works because Godzilla is still cool. He's still destroying buildings. The difference is he's not destroying them out of a destructive metaphor for the wrath of Oppenheimer's bomb. He's just destroying it because he's mad and he's fat and he wants to go home. And he's just an angry chud who just keeps hitting buildings until he gets webbed up and tossed into the sea. Great film. Highly recommend watching with toothless, drunk old men.
Yes, incredible. All right, let's go.
Quite gas.
So, Ghidorah the three-headed monster.
Oh.
This is a really interesting and special one. I did not love. This one is really interesting. Obviously, one, the introduction of Godzilla's biggest rival, King Ghidorah.
What a phenomenal character.
Yeah, which
in turn led to probably MF Doom's best music alter ego. I'm just saying, like Ghidorah, like. Only MF Doom could make a song featuring himself under a fake name, and that's where it came from, Ghidorah the three-headed monster.
Okay, if we start talking about MF Doom, this is going to become an MF Doom podcast.
No.
I'm going to warn you from now, Seth.
No. I will say this to you, Levin. I'm not here to start. I'm just saying, when MF Doom names himself after King Ghidorah, and we're talking about King Ghidorah, you got to mention it.
Yep, that's fair. Yep.
Yeah.
This was also a really important film because this is the beginning of Godzilla becoming more of a hero. Yes. Right? He was a villain for like basically his first 4 movies.
Yeah, he was a villain, and then in Mothra vs. Godzilla, he's an asshole. But then in this one, he becomes, and also
like Mothra turns him into a good guy.
This one honestly is more of a crossover. And when I say crossover, I don't mean in the Reddit Avengers Doomsday crossover. It was in the sense of bringing the world together, because this one doesn't just have Godzilla. It has Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan, the pterodactyl we were talking about before that almost got Haruo slimed out in the ocean, well, in a pool. And the 3 of them have to get together to destroy Ghidorah, who he is a 3-headed golden dragon from the planet Venus, who a woman who, was she like hypnotized to think she was a Venusian princess, or like she was, or like...
I don't remember. I just remember her claim, like she could like tell that like something was going to happen. Yeah, like she predicted like when Rodan was going to come back, and then when. Okay,
so I think she was like, or like, anyways, a woman can just tell when Ghidorah is going to do shit, and she's getting hunted down by a bunch of like elite spy. It's the human part's like a thriller noir James Bond type spy thing, and then the Godzilla thing is just fights. And for the first time, Godzilla gets his ass beat, and he doesn't win on his own. Because, and like I said, I'm not making this up, Godzilla fights Ghidorah. Ghidorah is bigger than him. Well, he's supposed to be, but he's not, because Haruo's suit was taller. But anyways, he's bigger than him. The dragon touches down, and it is the best-looking suit Toho has ever done by that point. It has a weird clicking, chattering noise like a bell that I can't replicate, thankfully, for Seth. Yeah, he comes in, destroys the city. He fights Godzilla, and it's a good fight. But Ghidorah, being a dragon, he's got the big wings, but he has no arms. So how does he fight him? You know exactly what I'm going to bring up, don't you?
Go ahead.
Ghidorah winds up and starts spitting lightning at him. You know, simple, because they like to shoot, because Godzilla breathes atomic fire. It's called atomic breath, but it's just blue fire, and Ghidorah breathes lightning. So Ghidorah, I'm not saying this to be funny, this actually happens, Ghidorah shoots, he straight up just shoots a kill streak right into Godzilla's crotch, and then he sends him crumbling down into a ravine. He shoots him in the balls so hard he falls, and he just gets buried alive. I guess the point I just have to finish is that it really set a new precedent for kaiju films, having 4 different monsters fight each other, like for the first time of that scale. Important stuff. I thought it was brilliant. Good movie, not a masterpiece or like anything more artistic like Mothra, but just a good movie. Great time.
Yes, and as this era progresses, it essentially becomes more and more appealing to children.
Yeah.
But basically 2 things happen. They begin appealing more and more to kids, and then past a certain point, they begin getting less and less of a budget, where budgets start to go more towards television production rather than film production. And we're going to skip over a lot of those movies. The last movie we're going to talk about for now, or right now, before we get into our top 3,
Yes.
which will include some more talk about those movies. Let's talk about Invasion of Astro Monster, the follow-up to Ghidorah, the 3-headed monster.
Yes.
Now, it's been a while since I had seen this, so like correct me in any point that I might get wrong on this.
No, of course.
Because this is I absolutely love how wild this movie is because of basically like I didn't really love like how silly 3-headed monster got. However, for some reason, Astro Monster clicked with me in a way that I wasn't expecting.
I mean, it's Godzilla dancing in space.
Yes. Basically, in this movie, aliens come to Earth and they're like, we have a problem. There's this kaiju named King Ghidorah who's like wreaking havoc on our planet, and y'all have Godzilla. Can we take Godzilla back to our planet so that he can fight King Ghidorah? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? Oh, right. The deal was like they had like the cure for cancer, right?
Yeah. It's also been a while since I've seen it. But it was, they took Godzilla and Rodan.
And Rodan, yes, to fight King Ghidorah.
And Japan was like, yeah, we fucking hate these guys. Take them.
So Godzilla and Rodan, like, they fight. Was it Rodan?
Yeah, it was Rodan.
Oh, right. It was okay. Yeah. Right. Because Rodan is his friend now, and then Anguirus becomes his friend later. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was.
Although, yeah, like Rodan and him are like co-workers, and Anguirus is like actually like Godzilla's friend.
Like legit best friend.
Because
like,
yeah, Godzilla's an asshole, so most of his friends are just co-workers.
Yeah, like literally, like there is a movie later on where like they talk to each other. It's with speech bubbles. Is how silly this series gets. Invasion of Astro Monster continues where now Godzilla and Rodan, they defeat King Ghidorah. Godzilla does his weird dance in space.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm not, like that's literally what he does. And then...
He jumps up and down and he does that.
So then on Earth, our main character is this dude, he's basically an inventor. And he's trying to sell his inventions. He's not a very good inventor, but he's trying to sell his inventions. And one of his inventions is being bought. And it turns out that the invention that's being bought is being bought by those space aliens who were pretending to be human, because that invention is a device that emits basically the most annoying sound in the world. Like if you've seen Dumb and Dumber when they do that, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna try to. I apologize. I'm not gonna go any
The most
louder than
annoying
that.
sound in the world.
Yeah, the most annoying sound in the world. Right? It's literally a device that just does that. Right? And
I've seen an edit of that where that sound plays in its
Really?
place on YouTube.
Oh, that's perfect.
If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
So
Send him a
now
message.
the aliens, they with a defeated Gager and all that, they brainwash and mind control the kaiju and send them back to Earth so that they can wreak havoc on Earth. And it turns out that that invention emits a very annoying sound at a frequency that breaks their mind control. And so to defeat the kaiju wreaking havoc on Earth, Japan goes, okay, everybody, turn up your radios. We need all radios across Japan to be turned up as loud as possible so that we can broadcast the most annoying sound in the world, a sound so loud that it can be heard from space.
This song came out in the 60s, right?
Yes.
So everyone play Seamus from Pink Floyd as loud as humanly possible.
It was either, I think, was it 67 or was it?
Either way, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah.
say Seamus is a terrible song on one of the best albums ever made. Continue.
And so basically, they stopped the mind control by broadcasting on every radio the most annoying sound in the world so that they can break the mind control. And then when the mind control breaks, Godzilla are just like, and King Ghidorah are just like, they look at each other and, oh, right, we hate each other, right? And so then they fight and then Godzilla wins, right? Just the idea of like, we have to win by broadcasting the most annoying sound in the world is like one of my favorite twists in a Godzilla film.
Yeah.
So let's go into our top threes.
Okay, and before we do, I just want to mention one thing. The reason why Godzilla hits that dance in the movie is because it was a trend amongst Japanese school children, which, I'm being serious here, the modern equivalent would be Godzilla hitting the gritty after defeating King Ghidorah. Like, unironically, that would be the modern equivalent.
It's like a Fortnite emote after. Like,
Yeah.
Literally, that's what he does.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have you start.
Okay, so ordering is very hard for me, but I'm gonna start with my third favorite, your favorite, obviously, Godzilla Final Wars from
Oh, boy.
2004. I know you hate that movie. It's okay, I understand being born without taste buds. That'll do something to you for having no taste for the peak. So he describes it as shitty X-Men. I describe it as he's right. It is. So basically, it's about a bunch of mutants, but they're all like Japanese twinks, and they're like trained to like do Matrix stuff. The human stuff sucks. The point is, it was Godzilla's 50th anniversary, and it's literally about the aliens from the movie he was just talking about coming back to Earth and unleashing all of the monsters that they had the money to rebuild. It is a bloodbath. The whole thing is actually structured identically to the mode they have in fighting games where you have to go up a tower, like in Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, and you're like fighting increasingly hard opponents. It's that. So like in one scene, Godzilla walks into Sydney and he curb stomps the bad American Godzilla from '98. In another one, he gets piled on by Anguirus and Rodan and a different kaiju called King Caesar, who's like, imagine like a poodle, but like a lion, and he stands, and you have to sing to him to get him to do anything. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, they gave him like really big tits in that movie. Like it was like a golden bra thing. And I remember that because I was watching that movie as a kid and my mom said, "Why does this character have boobs?" And it's like, "Harry, is there something you're not telling me?" And then 12-year-old me had to explain, "No, Mom, I'm not a furry. This is just what they did for this movie." It's an action-packed nightmare of just punches and kicks and throws. There is literally a scene where one of the monsters curls up into a ball, my goat Anguirus, gets thrown at Godzilla, and he kicks it like a soccer ball straight into King Caesar's skull. It is amazing. The creature, like there is a scene of those little mutants dancing around, and they kill Ebra, the big lobster, who that is a kaiju, a big fucking lobster.
The Horror of the Deep.
Ebra the Horror. That's a movie I wish we could talk about if we had more time. But wonderful film, terrible acting, the best action you're gonna get out of like a Godzilla movie, kinda.
All right.
Now you go with your third.
Okay, so technically my third is Godzilla -1.
Wonderful.
But
Wonderful.
It's an incredible film. However, it's not fun to talk about. So I'll swap it out for a movie that's more fun to talk about.
Oh.
Godzilla versus King Ghidorah.
My man, my man. This guy knows ball. This guy has insane ball knowledge.
Godzilla versus King Ghidorah is so basically.
Not the one we talked about before.
Yes, this came out and this was like
1991.
Yes, and which is important because at the beginning of that era, it's the second era of Godzilla.
Or no, it was the 80s. It was 80.
No, because Biollante was 89.
Yes, you're right. Yes, it was the 90s. Forgive me.
Yeah. So the second era of Godzilla starts with Return of Godzilla, and what comes out the same year of Return of Godzilla? Terminator.
Yes.
Right? And so then they do a sequel to Return of Godzilla, right? Godzilla versus Biollante, goated, one of the greatest.
Very good.
And what comes out the same year as Godzilla versus Biollante? Back to the Future 2.
Mm-hmm. And
so this is leading somewhere.
Yes.
So for the third movie, so for Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, they were like, well, we keep losing the time travel movies. What if we just made Godzilla a time travel movie? And so we did Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, where, oh gosh, how do I even begin? Okay, so you know
you
the
can't
idea
explain
of,
the time travel. You can't.
There's a very simple way I can. You know how?
What? What do you mean? How do you explain that bullshit?
So, you know the idea of like we got to travel back in time to kill baby Hitler?
Which, yes, that is the plot.
It's that, but Godzilla. So they have to travel back. They have to travel back to World War II, back when Godzilla was just a dinosaur.
Yes.
If you have any questions about that, I won't be able to answer them.
I will. Maybe. Probably not.
Oh gosh. So basically, the idea is like they have to go back in time to like kill Godzilla because in the future it starts in like what the year like 2204 or whatever.
Yeah.
And King Ghidorah has been defeated by Godzilla, and it's like, oh, so they just started the movie with a spoiler, and then we go back to the regular time, so like early 90s.
Yeah.
And these time travelers are like, yo, Godzilla has wrecked our future. We need to stop him when he was a baby. Like we gotta again go back in time, kill baby Hitler, right? And they're like, all right, yeah, sure. And so they go back in time, and they stop Godzilla when he's a dinosaur. And when they travel back in time, there's a really funny bit where there's a, you know what I'm going to talk about.
The Dorats, right?
It's
or is it the running? Oh no, continue. Sorry.
No, it's the bit where they're like, you see that? Oh gosh, what was it? They see like their like ship in the sky of like for time travel, and they're like, you should tell your son about this, Mr. Spielberg.
Yeah, I knew. Yes, it was so bad. No, it was like, whoa, a shooting star. You should tell him when your son's born, Major Spielberg.
Which is like the most. I love stuff like that.
That
so
line had me fucking slapping my knee and hollering. It's so.
Oh gosh. So now they go back in time and they defeat Godzillasaurus.
Yeah.
And
it's the stupidest looking dinosaur.
It's just a dinosaur that kind of looks like Godzilla if you just made him look more T-Rex-like.
No, because he's reared up on his hind legs. It's like a 50s dinosaur, but with modern effects. So it looks brilliant, but stupid, if that makes sense.
Yeah. They travel back, so they stop him, right? And then it turns out the time travelers are actually there to like support King Ghidorah, right? So now Ghidorah is free to like do whatever destruction, right?
Because they left these alien creatures where the bomb was dropped, and that mutated them into Ghidorah instead of Godzilla. So he took his place in history. Yeah. Sorry, I just feel like that was a vital thing to mention.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. Listen, there's a lot of weird details in this movie.
But like, yeah, that's like a vital,
Yeah. So like. Long story short, Godzilla like beats King Ghidorah, right, or whatever.
They bring him back,
and then they bring King Ghidorah back, but they like rebuild. So like Godzilla like rips off the middle head of Ghidorah.
Yes.
We should probably show what Ghidorah looks like. That's what Ghidorah looks like. That's the three-headed dragon right there. If you can get a real good look at that. Don't
move the cameras. I don't want it to be green.
Basically, the middle head gets ripped off, but then they rebuild it in Mecha, so it's like Mecha King Ghidorah.
Yep. So yeah,
it's a good time. It's a real fun time.
it's a wonderful film. The only thing is the time travel. If you start to think about it for more than 5 seconds, you realize that the time travel made more sense in Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
It fell apart.
Actually, that's an insult because like their time travel was more thought out than like Endgame. Shout out Matt Johnson, he's cool.
Okay, but that's also
kinda
one of the
cute.
best time travel
No, I'm
stories of
kidding,
all
no.
times, in my opinion. Anyway,
Huh?
I'm saying Nirvana the band is one of the best time travel stories.
Oh yeah, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
I wasn't saying it to insult it. I'm just
Yeah.
saying when 2 guys from where we are filming can do better, like can do better time travel than a whole studio
Mm-hmm.
running after Back to the Future, like fuck off, man. Great movie. Not
Yeah.
you fuck off, but like you know. Anyways.
All right, what's your next movie?
My second pick, I'm going to go with, because it's really hard because it tends to be interchangeable, but I'm going to go with one which I can see you, Mr. Seth. You know exactly what I'm going to say next. Godzilla vs. Hedorah. This movie was made by a man named Yoshimitsu Banno. For perspective, Banno never directed a Godzilla movie. Back then, Godzilla was only being directed mainly by 2 guys, Ishiro Honda and what was the other guy's name?
Jun Fukuda.
Jun Fukuda, yes. I love Jun Fukuda. How could I forget his name? They were both brilliant and brought different things to the franchise. But one day, a man named Yoshimitsu Banno says, I got a script, and I want to direct this. And what he made a psychedelic art house film, and Godzilla's just kind of in it. It's about this alien monster from space that comes down to Earth and creates mass pollution and feeds off of pollution. It's like an environmental film. And you're thinking, okay, it's like Captain Planet. And then the movie goes full on psychedelic. There's a scene where a guy gets drunk in a club and then all the women dancing, their heads turn into fish. There's animated sequences that just happen, and it's like straight out of Pink Floyd's The Wall, like the way they happen. The music is literally funky. Like, it's music that you can sit back and listen to. The colors are bright. Everything is screaming at you. The monster grows bigger. It starts as like a tadpole, and then it becomes this giant gray turd alien thing. It's amazing. And the movie was actually an outlet for, this is a divisive theory, but one that I consider basically fact. I'm going to give the evidence, and you make your opinion about this. So in the movie, Hedorah the monster, his eyes were, and this was confirmed by Banno, were designed off of female genitalia. And you can tell. You can really tell. And when Banno was asked, why would you do that for the main villain, he said, come on, man, vaginas are scary. This is a direct quote. This is a quote. The reason I bring this up is because many years later, Banno tried making another Godzilla movie, but Ishiro Honda had him banned from making anything Godzilla related. So he lingered around Toho like the Phantom of the Opera, pulling the strings, trying to get something made. And he tried to make a movie where Godzilla saves the day by shooting rainbows. So he likes rainbows and he's scared of vaginas. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I like men as much as the next guy, but like, there's got to be healthier ways to like cope with not being able to come. He was an art house genius who I think if he was allowed to just make movies, he would have been one of the greats, but Ishiro Honda just ruined his career because he was too petty.
It was more than just Honda. It was the producer of the film as well.
Oh, the producer also? Oh,
Yes.
This is news to me.
Oh, you don't know this?
No, hit me with it. Contribute.
So basically, the reason Banno got the job was because him and the producer were close with I can't remember what like Expo 70 or something like that. I can't remember what.
No,
it was.
Expo was Gamera.
That was Gamera.
Yeah, Expo 70
Okay.
was Gamera.
Okay.
But I still think you're right with the producers being mad. But yeah, Expo 70 was a Gamera thing.
So the producer, basically, his health is falling apart. He gets hospitalized during the production.
I do vaguely remember this.
And during that, while he's hospitalized, Banno takes this as an opportunity to go, let's change some things around.
My God.
And this is how we get Godzilla flying.
Oh, yes. He tucks his tail between his legs and he uses his fire to float while curled up like a shrimp. And the music is going. And
yes, he's literally like Godzilla is breathing fire like in one direction,
and
he just breathes fire. He keeps breathing fire, and he kind of like tucks his legs in like this.
you know, his tail
and
is tucked between his legs. Like his
tucked
tuck
up
is
like
fierce.
this.
Holy shit!
And he is just, and you just see him. Like, he's kind of like balled up like this, and he's just flying through the sky like
a shrimp, and that's
Yes.
how he meets Hedorah. That's how he.
and And so the producer...
When my producer is fucking dying, so I gotta make Godzilla start flying.
The producer gets out of the hospital and goes, "What the fuck is this?" And just fires him. Just like, no, you're not allowed to direct another Godzilla film, right?
Which
so like,
is so
so
sad.
it was more than just Honda, right? Like, it was like
Good to
a
know.
lot of the upper brass in Toho just did not like that. Now, granted,
It's
Bono,
a dumb scene, but like...
Yes. Bono, many years later, ended up getting a lot of respect with the again, with the MonsterVerse.
He ended up producing these movies, which I have my thoughts on. I'm not going to be overly negative.
But you know what? He got to be a producer for the 2014 American Godzilla, and ever since his passing, he has been credited in the credits for every MonsterVerse movie since.
Absolutely wonderful.
Which is yeah.
It's a great legacy to have, but I still mourn what Bono could have been as a Japanese art house director, not even just in kaiju films. Like, I really think he had a beautiful mind, and he had a really interesting way of articulating his beliefs in a way that I can only try to emulate with my own work as a screenwriter. I love Bono, and it's just Bono Yoshimitsu. I fucking hate Bono the Edge, you know. But yeah, brilliant film, really funny, really psychedelic. Watch it fried as hell.
Yes.
Now I will allow you to go with your second.
Okay, so my second is probably your first.
Oh yes,
We're going to talk about a very special movie called GMK. And what does GMK stand for? Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack.
The worst title. Do not let it deter you. That's all.
Because it's arguably the best one.
Yeah, it's the best Godzilla movie, and the title was made by presumably a 4-year-old.
So this is the third movie of the Millennium Era. What's really interesting...
Millennium being the 2000s.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to disclose to the viewers who don't have our, like 9th degree of Bene Gesserit autism.
Yeah, so this was the third era of Godzilla. And what's really funny, so like, it was TriStar that did the 98 Godzilla, right?
Yeah, it was
So
fucking TriStar.
The original American Godzilla was so bad, it was so terrible, that Toho, because they were supposed to make a trilogy, right?
Yes.
And then Toho was like, "You're not making any more of these."
Yeah.
And so for the Millennium
Starring
Era,
famous actor and murderer Matthew Broderick.
and like half the cast from The Simpsons.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot. Homer is just in that. The whole fucking movie.
Yes.
Yeah, like Homer, Bart, Lisa. Fucking, like it feels like a joke I would have made with the man right there. Like fucking, we're not watching it at my house, Seth. Just, we are not, it's not funny. It would join the likes of Chud and that one other movie we saw that sucked ass. The Sleepaway Camp. I'm so sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries.
Continue. Oh, fuck.
Because I expect you to talk about this as well, because this is also on your list.
Merge. I'm sorry. Okay, GMK.
Okay,
Oh, fuck.
so the interesting thing to me for the Millennium Era is basically like Toho. Like, I mean, this is subjective because I don't know for sure. But like my feeling on watching the Millennium Era, it feels very American style.
Yeah.
In a way that felt like Toho was like, America, this is how you can do an actual American Godzilla film. Now, granted, I don't think that era started all that great, but like GMK was like the peak. So
phenomenal.
GMK is basically there is a military figure head called he's Commander Tachibana, and he has a daughter, Yuri Tachibana.
Yuri's great.
And their whole dynamic, it's basically between this father and daughter, where the father is a commander in the military, and the daughter basically works for a TV show that that fabricates monster stories. And so her father, being in the military, knows that Godzilla was real, right? But she is trying to prove the existence of Godzilla. The key thing here is that this is roughly 5 decades after the original Godzilla attack, and so I guess I should also mention that the original Godzilla is the only Godzilla movie that is canon to this. So this is like 50 years later. And remember that like the internet is only just now starting to like have its rise, and so there isn't a lot of widespread knowledge of like Godzilla's existence, and so whether or not Godzilla actually had actually attacked is just like a legend. It's like it's a kind of a myth. They don't know for sure whether or not it happened, and if it did happen, then it was so long ago that it doesn't really matter, right? They're not even thinking about it. Oh wow, a tragedy that happened 50 years ago. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
That was their mindset, and so now. All of a sudden, Godzilla is back, and Godzilla's attacking. And this movie starts with a scene with like the military having this like briefing, and Tachibana mentions a few years ago, America claimed that there was a monster that attacked them that they claim is Godzilla, and there's talk in the audience of like, do we know that it was actually Godzilla? And it's like, our experts say that it probably wasn't. Like in a way that insults like the '98 Godzilla of like just poking fun at like your Godzilla is not the real Godzilla.
It was horrendous.
Yeah. This movie is like full of like meta commentary. Like so when Godzilla comes back and they're like all in like the war room and they're like, why is Godzilla always attacking Japan? Like why is it always us? Can't he attack somebody else?
That was a good line. I remember that.
And so now the daughter is trying to legitimize her career by proving that Godzilla exists. And Commander Tachibana finds out that it wasn't the military that defeated Godzilla in the original movie, it was actually the oxygen destroyer. So basically a scientist came up with a way to destroy Godzilla in the original film.
Also made a bunch of like demon crabs in another one, but that's its own story.
So notice that like I've talked about this much, and I barely even talked about the monsters in this. There's 4 kaiju in this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie is maximalist Godzilla. It is peak human drama. It is peak monster action. The way that they all tie together with also Godzilla's personality in this.
Oh yeah, because
he's insane.
Because
go on.
Oh my God, am I cutting you off? How about we like talk about the movie?
Let's talk about
let's do an injunction
let's
to
talk about
okay.
GMK. We love this movie.
Okay, so GMK, the whole thing is that eventually the girl, I don't know, she finds this out later, but the audience finds out before her that there is a prophecy that 3 ancient guardian monsters will rise up to protect Japan if any crazy shit happens. And the thing about Godzilla is when he comes back, this isn't a big lizard. He's a manifestation of all the souls that died in World War II from Japan.
In the Pacific Theater, which includes American soldiers.
Right. I guess because in the version I had, they kind of changed the subtitles to make it more Japan-centric, but it's a bunch of souls of people who died in the merciless violence of World War II, and now it's angry. And this new Godzilla, his eyes are just pure white. Like, there is no soul behind it. And he kills everyone. There's a scene of him destroying a city, and there's a little girl in a hospital crying and screaming, like, for her life. And then Godzilla walks past the building. She goes, oh, and then his tail comes in and smacks the building and blows up the top half.
Yeah, just when you thought she was safe.
It is insanely cruel, and I kind of love it, how evil he is.
I love the bit where the dude's just taking a piss.
Oh,
and the ground just starts shaking.
Oh, yeah.
And he looks out the window, and like, Godzilla! And then Godzilla just crushes. Like, man, he died with his dick out. That was so sad.
But what happens is the 3 elemental monsters, they get summoned, and it's Mothra, Ghidorah, and Baragon, who I love Baragon. He's basically like, imagine a pug, but he's red, and he's a dinosaur. He's really cute. And he gets flung around like a rag doll the whole movie. That character also made somewhat history as being the first major Toho kaiju to ever be played by a woman. She was incredible. Like, the physicality for that role is insane.
The behind the scenes footage of her just going, rawr, is so cute.
It's really
oh my God,
cute.
I love it.
Yeah.
What's also really cool about the whole mythology of we haven't heard from Godzilla in 50 years, we don't know if he's real, right? It's also to the point that basically Japan doesn't know what Godzilla is because it's been so long, right? So when Baragon's attacking, they think Baragon is Godzilla.
So they call him Red Godzilla because they're just like a Red Godzilla. They're just like, fuck it, it's a big kaiju. But because Baragon's benevolent, no one really gets hurt. You just kind of accidentally, because the monsters end up going after bad people. Like Mothra drowns a bunch of people who are trying to drown a puppy in the beginning. Like it's almost superhero level in terms of what they do.
That's part of why I love Mothra. She kills 9 kids but saves the dog.
Yeah, well, they were trying to drown the dog. Yeah. They had it coming. And eventually, because of a last-minute plot rewrite, because initially the movie, the three Guardian monsters were going to be Anguirus,
Yes.
Varan, and Baragon. You'll never guess what my top 3 favorite kaiju are in that order. And then they cut it because it wasn't popular enough. So I love the movie, but the one criticism I have is I would have liked it a lot more if they went with the original kaiju rollout, but still a brilliant masterpiece. But because of that weird rewrite, King Ghidorah is the good guy in this one.
Yes.
And the way he's discovered, and it's one of the darkest jokes I've ever seen in a Godzilla movie.
Wild. But
It's an insane joke, but basically, it's his introduction is that he's actually buried deep underneath the suicide forest. You know the one. And, oh, sorry. Basically, a guy goes there to hang himself. I think there's someone hanging right there. And then the ground cracks open and Ghidorah's there. And yeah, in the end, they have this magnificent fight, and you can carry from here because, like, I think you can describe the ending really well.
yeah, so basically, like, Mothra comes in. Mothra is a larva, but then becomes the cocoon floating in the water as a reference to Mothra versus Godzilla. And then is like birthed as, or comes out of it as the full adult Mothra. King Ghidorah is found by this man who's trying to attempt suicide, and then gets scared and goes, "Oh my goodness, what the hell is going on here?" When they then get into the fight, so after this is the key thing I want to talk about here. I forgot to mention this because this comes up with Baragon as well.
Yeah.
This Godzilla is very, very smart.
Yes.
Like, he learns from his mistakes and never falls for the same thing twice. So like when Baragon digs the hole to like cause Godzilla to like trip and fall so that he can like
He's a burrowing kaiju. That's like his thing. He digs
so
holes.
he lunges at Godzilla to bite him in the arm, right? And just bites him in the arm, and Godzilla has to fight him off. The second time he tries to do that, Godzilla sees it coming and just tail whips him into a helicopter. Remember earlier when we talked about freedom of the press, right?
Yeah.
And this is a bit that, because Godzilla -1 takes a lot from GMK. This is one of the bits, the press doing live commentary of the action.
Yeah.
That then they basically die because they're too close to the action. So now when Godzilla is fighting Mothra, Mothra is like, and King Ghidorah comes in. So it's Mothra and King Ghidorah at the same time, at first. Godzilla is basically like he's kind of losing the fight in a bit because it's kind of 2-on-1, but he's holding his own. And when Mothra comes in to do its attack, and a common thing that Mothra does is she goes on Godzilla's head and just like scratches the back of his head like a lot, right?
Yeah.
When she is going to do that a second time, Godzilla sees it coming and just like 180 no-scopes her out of the sky and just blasts her out of it. Now we have King Ghidorah. This is like the funniest thing because King Ghidorah is basically, he kind of feels like he's powerful but kind of a loser in a weird way because he basically gets 3 chances to win and loses all 3 times, right? He gets knocked out, and then when Mothra dies, Mothra's energy goes into King Ghidorah, reawakens Ghidorah. Ghidorah turns into Super Saiyan, and then gets defeated again. And then they drop the stone into the water, which then like reawakens him. And then he's super powerful, comes out of the sky, comes out of the water again, is just glowing gold, and then gets to a point where can Ghidorah be defeated? Yes, he can. He's still defeated because Godzilla is still more powerful.
Oh.
In 1 minute?
They want you to go to your number 1. I just didn't know how to articulate that.
Listen, we can talk about this one movie. I don't even care about my number 1.
Anyways,
Let's just talk about GMK.
They want us to kind of wrap up with this, so is it okay if I kind of summarize?
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I didn't mean to. Anyways, the 3 monsters, their souls merge, they damn Godzilla's soul, and the main character's father drills right through Godzilla's chest and sinks him into the bottom of the ocean. Great peak film. I have nothing more to say about it because it's my favorite Godzilla movie. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Shin Godzilla.
I mean, I knew that, but it's fun for dramatic effect. I haven't seen Shin in years, and I don't have much to say about it, so I will give you the floor.
All right, so Shin Godzilla. So here's a key thing about my love for this movie. It's not simply because it's Godzilla. It's because it's Hideaki Anno. Hideaki Anno is the creator of Evangelion. And if you know anything about Hideaki Anno's career and his life, you'll know that whatever he makes is a reflection of whatever his mental state is at the time. And so at the beginning of Evangelion, it's way more action focused, and like Evangelion's literally just.
You think Yoshimitsu Banno had like a Shinji in the hospital moment with the producer?
I hope not. That's nasty. And as his mental state deteriorates, like you see it reflected in Evangelion as it goes on. We get to the point where now he's like the end of Evangelion is a whole like mess of a situation that I'm not gonna like go into detail of. But basically, he ended up like in very serious depression, and he then started like remaking the Evangelion movies, like so Rebuild 1, Rebuild 2, Rebuild 3, right? And there's supposed to be a fourth one. It took a long time for it to get to. Why? Because he was making Shin Godzilla with Shinji Higuchi. Yeah. The reason that they got the green light for Shin Godzilla was because they went to Ghibli and were like, we want to make a short kaiju film. Have you seen Giant God Warrior appears in Tokyo?
I have not.
Okay, do you know of it?
I might.
It's a 10-minute short that played at the beginning of Evangelion Rebuild 3.
I haven't gotten into Evangelion yet, so.
It's basically the giant monsters in Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind. They're just like, let's make a live-action version of that monster.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Yep.
And it's like the most like nihilistic, like depressing 10 minutes. And that basically got them the green light to make Shin Godzilla.
Yeah.
And Shin Godzilla, a part of also why I love it, is because it's basically the Mothra structure, right? Applied to Godzilla, right? So the idea that like Mothra, comes on land in like a primitive form, stops in the middle after causing a bunch of destruction, cools down,
and then he evolves into the ball sack thing.
Yes.
Like literally, like I remember even in the theater when I saw it, I'm like, holy shit, that's a nutsack and shin on his chin. And then he just keeps growing into this grotesque. I mean, you're looking at it right here. Yeah.
Not going to dig too deep into the story of this.
It's basically just a criticism of the Japanese government because there was an incident where one of their power plants blew up near the ocean, and the Japanese government did fuck all about it and resulted in the sea life looking like the three-eyed fish from The Simpsons.
Yeah, so like the March 11th triple disaster, March 11, 2011, the massive earthquake that caused the massive tsunami that caused a nuclear issue.
It's a satire of that, but big lizard, same shit, different day.
Yeah, it's like criticizing the government for their response to that, for their very slow response to that.
Because there's a scene in the movie where Godzilla's like destroying a city, and the government officials are literally voting on what to do with it, going, I vote capture, I vote capture, I vote kill, while people are being fucking destroyed.
Yeah, and there's a really funny bit as well, like where they're doing a news conference, and they're like, don't worry, you're all safe. Godzilla will not attack again. And someone goes up to him, like the meme of another plane has hit the tower. When Bush is finding out about it and the guy whispers in his ear, they do.
I don't know if we can joke about that on air.
I'm not joking about that.
I know.
That happens where the guy comes up to him and goes, Godzilla's attacking right now. And it's like, he is, and then just cuts to Godzilla attacking after he just live on air said Godzilla is not attacking and we're all safe. Like there's a lot of like really dark comedy moments like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll let you go on.
Yeah, it was a wonderful take on Godzilla that was more body horror oriented. And despite the fact that they ditched the way of using suitmation and went with a more CGI and animatronic approach, it ended up being a very phenomenal movie to which Godzilla's legacy still lasts in American, Japanese, and global culture to this day. Thank you.
And your number one was GMK, right? So we already talked about that.
Yeah. My GMK, my number one was GMK, and I've spoken all I need. Like, you've spoke for me in that regard, and yeah. I'm starting to get the hint that we're on borrowed time, so I think this would be a solid place to wrap up.
Okay, thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much for watching, anybody who is insane enough to watch it.
Thank you.
And that was Talkzilla, and hopefully we're not canceled after this.
Yep. Tune in next week to see Kramer, Life After the Laugh Factory.